yeah, we're live on Wired Differently, and I have got the greatest setup in the planet. I know y'all are just kind of hanging out today, and there was no warning of a live show. It's been a while. And I thought about doing a podcast and doing something a little unique. So I invited my good friend Ron Eccles over here. And did I tell you to wear that shirt?
You did not.
No.
I came from the gym. I wear this in the gym all the time.
Yeah, and so obviously my studio has moved around a little bit. Did you know you were going to be live this morning?
No, in fact, I didn't even know you were going to go live right now.
Oh, should I tell you right now we're live?
We're live, I guess.
So I've never done a podcast with a guest.
Oh wow, well, I feel honored.
Yeah,
got to be the bald head.
You have a sexy barber.
That's it.
And I know your barber, and I think your wife would attest, right?
Yes, she would.
You look great, by the way. So two bald-headed guys get together, and we're talking about things, and I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to show him some of my studio stuff because Ron Eccles is like my mentor in a lot of things. I met Ron when I first moved here to Florida. 2010, 11, something like that. I think I met you in 13 or 14. And do you even remember?
I don't remember.
Do you remember when you met me? I mean, honestly, not that this is not going to affect our relationship at all.
I do remember.
Where
it was David Kaufman, and it was on the radio show.
Really?
I met you in the studio for the first time.
Were you impressed?
We talked on the phone.
Were you impressed?
I was.
Did I make you laugh, or did I make you
did,
cry?
Man. You're larger than life, dude. You know Todd Sale, and he's larger than life.
So that was one of my early, I was learning radio, and Dave would get on there, and we would bring guests in. And Dave, God bless Dave, one of my best friends. So Dave's a little bit before you.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dave would show up on the show. And Dave is so casual, so he's so good at what he does.
Yeah. He
doesn't have to prepare, and we would have a guest on, and he would remember at the last minute. He would know who they were, but okay, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, Dave, it's your guest. Well, let's go. We're live in two. We're like, oh crap. So that's where I learned to really move shuck and jive on a live situation, because that radio show was live. None of it was pre-recorded.
You got to improvise. You got to learn how to speak on the fly.
Yeah, and so since then, Dave and I have talked about it. We laugh about it a lot, and it drove me nuts because Dave wouldn't prepare traditionally. Yeah, he would just
wing it.
He does. He flies by the seat of his pants and his plane.
There you go.
And we all know he's got a plane. So, anyways, we're doing the show, and after 3 years, we just kind of. We decided we were going to do some other things differently, and the show just was killing us Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock. We had no life, and we really had a lot of good following. But long story short is, I said, Dave, you got to start preparing a little more, if not for yourself, but for me, because I want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Ron, on the other hand, is a preparer. I'm a preparer. But the thing about me that actually, since we're bringing up Dave, he said, Todd, you prepare more than anybody I know. But then when we go live, what pisses me off about you is you never talk about the content you prepared for.
Well, it depends. Actually, I'm one of those people where when I'm going somewhere and I'm planning something that's, let's say, a little bit more formal, I am absolutely disciplined on what I'm going to talk about. But a lot of times I'll just turn on the camera and I go live on stuff when God puts something on my heart, and I'm like, hey, I want to talk about this.
Yeah, and then
it just comes out.
And one of the things that we have in common now, I don't think it's dementia or anything, but after we're done, do you remember exactly what you talked about?
Oh God, no.
I know you. Listen, get the playback so we can actually.
When I'm working with my clients and they go, could you repeat that? I'm going, are you kidding me? I'm in the flow.
Yeah, I know.
If you're not recording it,
forget it. If you didn't take notes, forget about it. Buy my disc or something, right?
Yeah. So actually, with some of my clients, what I do is I record our session. So if I'm saying something and they go, that was really good, so I'll send you a recording. So that way, or I tell them to record it.
Yeah. So Ron is brilliant. Ron, really, of all the people I first met when I came here, he was probably the most impressive. And I don't know if you use the Dr. Success so much anymore.
It came up. I got that moniker. It's really funny because
Success Doctor, right?
I use it a lot, but what I do is I always want to kind of tell people what it means. Yeah. And it's not me. I tell people, you will meet people in different genres of life that are more successful than I am based upon what you might consider success. But you'll rarely find anybody who has been committed to the study of what makes people successful. Right. What makes businesses successful and success principles in general. I've been doing that since.
So let's listen to him because this is the big setup's coming, guys.
Yeah, so it's about 20 years old.
So
I'm 63, so 43 years now.
So yeah, so you, to me, you like embody the coach, like the success coach. And so when I started writing Wired Differently, I met you before I started writing Wired Differently and the whole brand. And this whole thing on success sometimes gets overused, but Ron is, you said it. I mean, that's why he's on this talk this morning, is to talk about my first ever podcast with my first ever success doctor friend, Ron Eccles. Is success became apparent to me as a business. I never really looked at it. I know all these speakers are out there. And so I remember trying to think, okay, I'm going to do this. I need a name. So I was coming up with Doctor of Motivation, Motivational Todd. I think we even talked about it a little bit. Anyways, I ended up landing on Wired Differently because I was reviewing some of my old speeches, and I was talking to a football team in Indiana, Trine University, about why do they do the things that they do? Why do they get up so early? Why do they go to bed so late? Why do they play football for free? I did the same thing. I played football for free. And I don't think these players should be playing football for free in college, especially now. But I was doing it because I wasn't good enough to actually play in D1. You know, I can say that now at 57. I couldn't say it back then. But
testosterone would not have permitted.
Yeah, you know, but I was good enough to play in an All-American level in NAIA Division 2 or 3. And I was good enough to meet the most beautiful, perfect person in my life in my college, Tracy Joe Foltz, who's now Tracy Sailors after 38 years. So, hey, I'm happy with the choice I made in college and football. But the point of the matter is that Ron is success. And so we've moved through this Wired Differently. I was speaking to a football team, and I told them they were wired differently. You're playing football for free, right? You're wired differently. And I realized that I was successful in life. Then I started feeling like, well, why am I successful? I got C's and B's. I was not the fastest. I was not the strongest. I was not the tallest. I mean, I played tight end in college at 6'1", 185. Because they could throw the ball to me and I could block, and then they moved me out to split end. But the bottom line is I've always been an overcomer. And I realized not only are those football players wired differently, I'm like them, and I'm wired differently. And so many of you out there are wired differently. So many of you out there understand that you aren't the prettiest, the fastest, the skinniest, the best voice. None of it, you know, we are all wired differently. God made us to be successful in our own skin. And I think somewhere we lost that whole idea of getting along, to get along, and to fitting in. And the whole attitudinal disorder of Wired Differently is what we're going to talk about briefly this morning, because I'm going to ask you to come help me. And I'm setting you up not only with a podcast, you're not going to have to answer the job request or the partnership request, but I've been throwing you these nuggets ever since you came in the gate, right?
Yeah.
So are you nervous?
Not at all.
So anyways, here's the thing. Wired Differently has really grown. We're the fastest growing authorship brand in motivation and success in the country right now. We're still selling 50 to 60 book units a day.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And it's crazy. And the third book, Your Will Be Done, is going to be out in the beginning of 23. I've already got it wrote, and now it's got to really get written, right? It's got to get the people in there to
somebody has to give the
clean up the
English portion,
get the grammar fixed. And like, Todd, did you really mean to say that? Well, that word's spelled wrong, and that word's, you know. So they go back in and they help me flow it. And so quick commercial on Wired Differently. I wrote every book. I'll continue to write every book, and that's the beauty of, I think, authorship, is you don't outsource the content, you don't outsource the feelings and the teaching. So long story short, Wired Differently is really about ready to explode and do some things over the next year that are going to be exciting. Something that I just really wasn't ready to do was coach. And I've been flirting with Ron for a long time. And with the oncoming third book, our second workbook, Drift Again, is coming out next month. It's done. We're just getting the cover done right now. This workbook is phenomenal. So we have curriculum in Drift Again. We have curriculum in Wired Differently Book 1. We have curriculum in Drift Again, Wired Differently Book 2. And then we'll have curriculum for Your Will Be Done, How to Become Supremely Purposeful. So the first book was, you know, what is Wired Differently? The second book is why is Wired Differently, Drift Again? Why do we drift again? What are these 8 traits of supremely purposeful people? And that's where I really introduced the term supremely purposeful, because that's where we're moving in the Wired Differently mindset, is to set ourselves apart, is to embrace our God-given uniqueness, our wired differentiality, and embrace it and take that and leverage ourselves into this world and success. And then the third book is the how. Your will be done. In my keynote speech right now, it's a beautiful spot where I literally, and you'll see some video coming up near, where I literally hand people their brain as if I'm God, and I hand them a softball, right? Because it's the size of a baby brain. I say, in God's free will, God, at some point in your life, he gives you your brain, because you're not born with a prefrontal cortex. You're born with a brain, but you're not born with a mind.
Some people never develop.
No, that's the point. The wired differently people are late comers in the mind.
Yeah,
But then I say, here is your brain. Here is your mind, right? And it's a beautiful moment in that speech that really sets the tone of, where is God in my life and how does it work before I even knew him? You know, and so we're not going to get into that today, but I just want to set you up a little bit. I want to set the audience up a little bit. You know, we average 5,000 views over a month period. So this will be a lot of fun. Long story short, so I just wanted to say hello to everybody, introduce Ron Eccles, my good friend, and just tell us a little bit about your coaching history, Ron.
But before I do that, I got to give some big credit. Number one is that when Todd and I have been friends for a long time, when he came up with this wired differently concept, I was like, this is absolutely, I mean, I lit up, and like I still do. I wear these shirts all the time. Like I wear, and I'm going through airports. I'm in the gym, and people will go to me. Me too. They'll point at me and go, me too.
It's crazy.
Like, it's absolutely, people resonate.
You do. Anywhere you go.
Concept. You said something before that's so powerful, is why do we strive so hard to fit in when God makes us to stand out?
Right.
And that's like, stop and think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Why do you want to fit in when you're born to stand out? You were born to be you. I said, listen, when it comes
that makes too much sense.
When I tell people this, I said, look, imagine if you were in a race with 300 million other people and you won the race. Would you then consider yourself successful? And people go, yeah, I would. I said, well, that's exactly how your life started. That's exactly how you started, because there were about 300 million sperm released. You won the prize.
He just said sperm on my first podcast.
I am a doctor, by the way. It's not. It's
not.
Oh,
so doctors can say sperm.
I can say sperm.
And here's the race that we won.
Yep. You see, the bottom line is
sperm race.
The bottom line is that we strive so hard in our culture here, and I'm living in the United States. That's what we're here. But in so many other cultures, we want to look, feel like, and act like everybody else. We get similar haircuts now. Todd and I don't have many other options than what we experience right now. But
I could grow it.
Everyone's trying to fit in. But why would you want to fit in? You are unique. Here's what I love. Your fingerprints, your retinal pattern in the back of your eye, every signature inside your cell has never been on this planet until you arrived. It will never be on a planet once you leave. God created you and me and Todd so uniquely that he wants us to fulfill a purpose that only we can fulfill. And here's the challenge. That's why I love Wired Differently. Accept it. You are wired differently. Rise to the occasion. Get excited about it. And then when you wrote the book Drift Again, I was like, I'm one of those guys, I've got to figure it out, right? I got to figure it out. Now, then all of a sudden I go, and I watch how in my life, whenever I get off track, whenever I lose focus, I drift. And now I get the concept. I've got to get back. Constantly realign myself. And then when your third book is coming out, it just connects all the dots. Right. Accept who you are. Know that you will drift and you need to recorrect, and then know that there's greater purpose for you. And that's what I just love this.
Right. And so, man, that's super cool. And, you know, it's funny, like if any brand or any company, we own as many as 14 organizations, my wife and I and Heather. I have another partner named Sam. He's an awesome dude. But I think that the word drift again is cataclysmic because I own the word now. It's one word. Capital D, R-I-F-T, capital
A. Meant cataclysmic.
But no, we are. You're going to collide. And here's the thing. And when I talk about it is, you know, listen, everybody is going to lose focus.
Yep.
And then you're going to lose focus again. You're going to drift. And you're going to drift again.
Yep.
And then watch this. You're going to sin.
Yep.
And you're going to sin again. And so the word drift again, you know, parallels with focus, and it also parallels with sin. And I think that overachievers, hard chargers like you, me, and Del Toro, and all these people out there that are shaping our lives one way or the other in the speaking world, and even Dave, we were talking about him earlier, is that we're supremely purposeful in a lot of things. But the reason I've become successful in my way, in the way I'm going to be teaching people, we're talking about you coaching and hopefully helping me do that, is that I recognize my drift.
Yeah.
And I think that the most successful people in the world basically only know two things. They know what they want, and they know how to get it. They know what they want, and they know how to get it. And if you can master those two things in life, you'll be successful without a degree.
Yeah.
Guarantee it.
Yep.
Guarantee it. And here's the other thing. If you can focus on what you want, then you're going to get it. If you do not drift more than 2 or 3 times. So I guarantee you, Bill Gates drifted once. He drifted again, but he brought it back on. He realized he was drifting. He brought it back on course. Steve Jobs brought it back on course. Elon Musk, I watch his videos. He drifts in his videos, but he brings it back on course. And so they know what they want, and then they get it. We've achieved that not because Todd ran a 4.740 and was a B- student at best. It's because early on in life, I realized what I wanted, and I knew how to go get it by not drifting, or more importantly, becoming supremely purposeful. And so that's what the books are about. That's what Wired Differently is about. Don't drift, become supremely purposeful. And we're teaching people how to become supremely purposeful, not just by books, because before you become rich, before you become wealthy, you need to learn how to become successful here. Not in the brain, but in the mind. God created the brain for survival. He created the mind for success. 2 pieces to the brain. So that's what we teach. That's what Ron knows. He's a doctor. He's a chiropractor. He's a brilliant man. So you got on a tangent. I wanted to hear about you real quick.
Yeah. But
and then I'm going to kind of make you an offer on live TV.
He's going to make me an offer I can't refuse. All right, listen.
It might be with donuts.
Here's the thing, is that each one of us is gifted in different ways. Now, I love to share this because I'm actually proud of it now. Like I say this as a professional speaker. Say, how many people remember grade school, high school, middle school, even the beginning of college? I said, well, I want you to know that I made the top half of the class. And then I always pause for effect. And I follow up with possible. And I said, those people who are wired like me, it may take you a few minutes to get it. You see, I wasn't the smartest. I wasn't the best performer. But one of the things I discovered at age 19 was that if I would just push myself to the limits, my limits would grow. And I became an A student at age 19. So the rest of the time, and because I had a freshman year of literally an academic probation, I had to work so hard to qualify to get into chiropractic college. And they literally interviewed me, and they admitted me based upon my personality, based upon what they saw in me. And I'm so grateful. They saw that I had the ability, I had the drive.
Yeah.
So over the now 40 plus years as a professional, one of the things that I've recognized is I have this incredible drive to consume. I learn about 2 to 4 hours every day. And then my gift is this, because I needed it to get to where I was at. I had to take what was complicated, simplify it so I could understand it. And that became my gift. That's why I love coaching, because I can take this complicated information, distill it down, and give my clients that fast action steps that they need to get the success they're looking for when they need it. Right. And that's one of the things that makes me, humbly I say, that's one, and I'm grateful to God that I have the gift of being able to do that. So when somebody talks to me, this goes back to being a doctor. One of the things I learned as a chiropractor was this: I have a diploma in orthopedics, neurology, and board eligibility in sports injury, which makes me one of maybe 10 knuckleheads in the world that would go through that much education. Yeah. But here's what I learned early on in practice, and that is stop treating the symptoms, treat the cause. Yeah. So a good doctor will drill down and keep looking for what is the cause of the problem. If we remove the cause, the symptoms go away. Right. If you treat the symptoms, they keep coming back. Right. If you got a headache and you keep taking aspirin, headaches keep coming back. You haven't solved the problem. You got to figure out where the headaches are coming from. Right. So in coaching, it's the same thing. It's really spending time asking the right questions and sorting out and getting to the root of why people do what they do or reach their limiting capacity. Right. And much of it goes right back to what you're talking about. What are your limiting beliefs? How are you wired? And then how do you get that breakthrough that you talk about in your books so that people can get free and released to really to fulfill that supreme purpose in their lives.
Extremely purposeful. So what really turns me on about you is what the first thing you talked about there and you touched on quickly was you consume knowledge. Yeah. Masses of knowledge. I consume knowledge, but not massive. I get the knowledge, and then I just took off with Wired Differently, and that supremely purposeful energy has cascaded into what's going on right now. So we're at a precipice now. Our website's there. A lot of things are happening. A lot of inquiries about coaching and things like that. And I've just never really coached specifically a curriculum. And you've even drawn your own curriculum.
Yep.
You've been coaching for 30 plus years in many regards. I've been coaching. A lot of you I've coached. I've never charged you a penny. I have a hard time doing that. And a lot of you have become very successful. So some of the things I've shared with you. But we're about ready to, we are entering right now officially in this podcast, we're entering into the coaching market. It's something that I've been really reserved about. And because I build companies for the residual machine side of things. And when I jumped into this Wired Differently world, the speaking world, it was fun learning how to speak and all that. But how the hell do you guys make money? No, nobody's making money. I mean, honestly, I can't make $100,000 at it.
Yeah.
Why do it? I'm not saying, and I'm not trying to be demeaning to anybody that makes less than $100,000, but after you pay your expenses and you travel and you're tired and you're away from your family and you do all that, and you got, in my scenario, I've got 14 other companies already. I'm like, wow, what's the ROI on something like this? But it's just so happened that God's really placed this on my heart. And he says, Todd, don't stop.
Yeah. He
says, don't stop. It's going to happen. People are, and the books keep coming and people keep buying them. And I get these great comments, and and I'm going to just give you a side note. I've been in the public eye since I was literally 16 years old, before internet. BI.
Hard to believe.
BI, right. And I haven't done everything right in my life. I have made a few decisions that have caused people harm. I mean, you make a lot of decisions and they're not done on purpose, but through life. And I've really had very, very few comments on the World Wide Web. And I think as a barometer, I really want to thank everybody out there, because I know even my hometown friends have seen a side of me that's been difficult to make everybody happy with, whether it was in retail business or speaking or playing football, or, I'm just a hard charging person. And sometimes there's collateral with that, but I just want to thank everybody for understanding. But we've just had there's a real big appetite for what we're doing here. And so the coaching is really where I think I can propel my Wired Differently teaching, my lifestyle, my success track record, the history of not only my family, but my father's brilliant coaching career. I mean, there's a lot of things, my preaching, there's a lot there, but how do we make it a residual monster like all my other companies? And so there's two types of income out there, guys. There is there's reoccurring income, and there's direct income. There's the one-time hit, that direct income, that's the opposite of residual. You sell a car and
it's transactional.
Transactional income. And it's done and over. And then there's the reoccurring income, transactional. This is the word I was thinking of. That's why he's here today. The transactional income is you sell one donut, you got to sell another donut. You sell one car, you got to sell another car. But when you put it together and it's working in harmony and it's happening all the time, it becomes a residual income. And so if I went out and spoke once and got a good fee, I walk out of there and I feel great that the speech went well, but I'm like, the money's obsolete because that's not coming back.
Yeah.
I'll spend that on something. So I figured it out. I finally figured it out. We've got the books, we've got the swag, we've got the brand. And I want to tell you, Ron, that see this TM on your shirt right here is now a little R.
Yep.
And I had a fight with Wired Inc. I don't have anything bad to say about Wired Inc. Massive company.
They were just looking to try to protect their territory.
They were, and they weren't nasty about it or anything. The flag came up and said, nope, you can't have that brand. And I said, why can't? You're wired and I'm wired differently. And they said, well, we know you're wired differently.
Because you challenged them and won.
Well, after $60,000, they figured I wasn't going to go away. And they really didn't have a right to the whole word wired differently. So that shirt now has a R there. And we own all the merchandise. We own all the book rights. We even own the ability to do a magazine, believe it or not. We just can't do it on electronics or their type of thing. But now that's an R. And the only concession I had to make, it's a good thing you have a good chest. is differently now is a little bigger. They just wanted me to make, can I do it like this? They wanted me to make differently a little bigger, so the wire doesn't stand out so much. So the new shirts is a tad bigger on differently.
Looking for the ratio.
Yeah, they just, and I think they just had to say something to make sure they won. So thank you, Wired, for doing that with us. Thank you, everybody, for loving the brand. So that's what's going on there. So I'm not going to belabor this call much longer because actually, have I mentioned that you're my first guest on a podcast
you
ever?
have.
And because I like.
He was literally sitting here showing me how he does these things, and then all of a sudden he's going live, and I'm like, "We are live," which is fine for me. I'm fine, and I want to say this real quick. So,
wait, like fine for you. Like if I do this to someone else, I might get hit like Chris Rock or something.
I call it now. The new thing is I'm going to Will Smith you.
Yeah.
And I don't. What happened was sad. I don't want. I saw it the next day. I heard about it the next day.
Done with it.
All right, so let me go back to this. I met Todd a long time ago, but I'm going to take credit for something. Because about 2 years ago, every time we would meet, he just has this passion to be out in front of people, to share his heart with them, to share the brilliance of what made him who he is, being wired differently. But I kept saying to him, but what's the back end? What's the back end? Because this guy does everything first class. He's you might not know this about him. He said he has 14 businesses, he and his wife. He's a rock star in the business world. He doesn't need this. He's doing this because there's a drive. But I kept saying to him, what's the back end? In other words, you're going to go out there and you're going to do a whole lot of stuff. Well, it shouldn't be a $100,000 business because essentially this guy spends a lot of energy and a lot of time and a lot of money to do something. I go, well, there should be a return on investment. Now, I'm going to say this because here's what I've discovered over life, and I know you have too, is that when you give away something for free, it's very rarely appreciated. People do not get the benefit from it. When people have an exchange, there's some skin in the game, and you've made this thing very affordable. When they got some skin in the game, they're going to grow. They're going to really take off in the area that your heart is sending them into. So listen, talking about money, I'm really good with that, but it's an exchange of value. You're going to give them incredible value, way more than they're going to give you up front. So
yeah, so I just wanted to lay this out for the whole world to see. Is I wanted to offer you. I don't want to call it
$10 million.
Yeah, it's $10 million. Yeah. I wanted to offer you a place publicly without warning you in this coaching world, because here's what happened. When you go back to Ron, it's like one of the things that, again, I didn't finish my comment, it turns me on about Ron, is that he's a ferocious consumer of knowledge. He'll go through 5 books by the time I go through, he'll go through 10 before I go through 1. I'm supremely focused here, and he's supremely focused on the content of a lot to bring it to where maybe I'm going to be going. And so I realized we can only rise to the level of our greatest weakness. And that's one of my teaching. And I think you probably have all heard it before. But if you have a great chef, but you don't have a great marketing sign, no one ever touches the cuisine.
Yep.
But if you have a great sign and a bad chef, everybody touches shitty food, right? So you don't win. You can only rise to the level of your greatest weakness. So let's say I'm a rock star in business, which I've been very successful, and I want to teach people those things. But I'm a good football coach. I was a good track coach. I'm a good father coach, but am I a great business coach? Yeah. If and when I can put all my time into it. So I'm like, hey, what if I take Wire Differently and all my supremely purposeful passion into Wire Differently, create the curriculum, which we've done, Curriculum 1, which is Before You Become Rich, Before You Become Wealthy. It's a mindset based on my first book that teaches you with 10, 15 to 18-minute video teachings from me with written curriculum, videos, and tests. It's awesome. If you go to my website right now, it's $99 instead of $299. Click on it. It'll be on your phone. It'll be on your computer, just like that. And you'll have access to it, and you can share it with your friends and family. But it's there for only $99. That's not what this podcast is about. It's about me taking that Curriculum 1, Before You Become Rich, Before You Become Wealthy. Listen, before you become rich, before you become wealthy, before Grant Cardone gets all your money, right? Let's train the mindset, right? I'm not a big Grant does his thing. I've been compared to Grant. I'm saying I'm no Grant, right? I am Todd. And here's what I'm saying. Before you go to Grant, stop and see me first. Because I want to condition your mind. I want to condition the disciplines in your life, because when you get to Grant, he's going to probably show you how to spend it his way. I just want to show you how to make it my way, God's way. And I think that if we can get in front of people before they go out and launch their $1 million business into $5 and $10 million businesses, or $100,000 businesses into bigger businesses, we got to walk it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
School never taught what I'm about ready to teach you all. Right? School never taught you how to really understand the brain, how God really made the brain. What, you don't even need to believe in God to understand that when you were born, you had no prefrontal cortex. You literally had no decision-making skills in your entire body when you were born. All you knew how to do was pee and cry, right? And that's it, because you had no prefrontal cortex.
Sometimes we end up that way.
Yeah, well, that's how we end up. He gives it and takes it. But the point of the matter is listen, you develop, that brain develops, and at sometime around 7 or 8, God literally has created a mind for decisions, and he gives it to you. Yeah. And when he gives it to you, he's not in their life. Yeah. He's left the most beautiful piece of your life for you to choose later, to accept him later. He loves you so much that he gave you free will and a mind that you didn't even know you had to be given, that was created from the age of 0 to 7 or 8. Now you're making all your decisions, and some of us skip this decision training component and go right from this attitudinal disorder part where God gives you your brain, and you go out and you start spending money and making business and decisions, and you haven't had the proper training to set yourself up for success later date. So Ron is a great coach. I'm a great teacher. I need a partner, a friend, somebody that I can bring into my organization, Ron, that can help lead a coaching department, coaching team, someone that's been there and done it and is better than me at it. Listen, I have made a lot of money, and I'll tell you what, the only reason I've made a lot of money is because I find people that are better than me at my visions, my own visions. They're able to implement better than I can actually implement it. I can create it, but I need implement people. And so we finally found it. And so I don't have a contract, but I'm not asking you to sign anything, but all I want to do is ask you. So don't embarrass me on the worldwide. Will you please come along and consider being the lead coach, a partner in the coaching program and building this program? If you don't want to come on as a paid person, I understand that. We'll talk about that later. But just promote me and help guide me, and I'll hire your consulting services if nothing else. But I'm really looking for something a little more deeper. And this is real. He's not heard any of this. I'm hoping that you can come along and be the coaching coach, literally be the coaching coach, and revenue share and split and just grow this thing into something just really. That was awesome.
And listen, this is not an instant decision.
I'm gonna cry.
I pray about things. I take time to consider them, but I also, here's the most important thing. I want to know the character of the person. I literally was sitting in your driveway because I got here early. I'm one of those people. I believe in this. If you're on time, you're late. That's just me.
Yeah.
And I teach
I gotta
that.
work on that one.
And I was sitting out and I shot a couple real quick reels for Instagram. And, one of the things is about, like, what are you working on, right? We get so focused on Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. We get so focused on, and we should be praying for the situation in the Ukraine, right? But I want to work harder on my character than I do on my aesthetic appearance, on who I am. Now, I work on my body. I work out all the time. I try to eat healthy and take care of the temple that God has given me. Mm-hmm. But I want to build the character more than anything else. So the reason I shook his hand and I made an informal acceptance was because the character of the man. I got to know the character. And trust me, it is about trust based upon the character. Yeah. There are red flags that come up in people's lives. When I see certain things, red flag, God is warning me. There's no red flags here. Yeah. And we've been friends for a while.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. I don't think we can do any more than that. So, hey, this was impromptu live. Did I mention you're my first podcast?
He's repeating himself. That's something to do with age.
Did I mention my $99 coaching desk?
You know what? It's really funny because I actually went to purchase that last night.
Did you?
I went to bed, but I'm like, no. I wanted to wait because I want to record my screen. And because here's a secret. I want to study the funnel. Yeah. And see how we went from the ad to the landing page, all the way through to the sale, the upsell, all that stuff. Yeah. Because look, it's an absolute joke to charge $99 for something that'll give you so much in return.
Right.
And I'll say this, and one more plug, because you're talking about the mindset.
Right.
And here's the thing: if you feel that $99 is too expensive to prepare you for something that can make you tens of thousands of dollars, can't help you.
Yeah.
But if you know that when you invest, not just get it, but purchase it, but go through the modules and study them and do the work, I promise you, you are going to get amazing return on your investment for it.
WiredDifferently.com. See that right there? WiredDifferently.com. You don't need to buy the book. If you go to the website, WiredDifferently.com, if I would have really planned this out a little more, I would have had this banner all ready to go. But if you go to WiredDifferently.com, there's a button on the top right-hand side of the website, and it says buy now. Just buy now. It's $99. It's $2.99 normally. You click that, and it drops right into your phone right away. And the intros are phenomenal. I mean, Hunter has produced legendary videos for me. If you go to my YouTube account, you can see the little boy in a race and Get the Girl and all those videos. He's just a magnificent producer. And he is actually producing a trailer for our keynote speech, Supremely Purposeful, and it'll be done hopefully pretty soon. We'll be hitting event planners and a lot going on with that to promote the coaching and promote the next book and all that we're doing. So shout out to Heather. Thank you. And Chris Billups does all of the funnel stuff for me in marketing. I'm sure he's watching right now if he has time. He's a great guy. So go to WireDifferently.com and click on that. And I would love to have you in that Discord or the what do you call it? The link, and drop in your phone, and it'll all happen real time. So anyways, let's wrap this up real quick here. I was really just kind of trying to show off to Ron StreamYard and how everything worked. And I wanted to kind of trick him into this outing. So, hey, everybody, you're wired differently. The people around you are wired differently. Ron's clearly wired differently. And I know I'm the author of the book, The Brand, The Attitudinal Disorder, Wired Differently. So I am wired differently, and I'm empowering you to be wired differently. I'm empowering you to feel good about yourself. Get a dang shirt that says wired differently. Write it on your phone. It doesn't matter because you're wired differently and you need to own that stuff, right? I want you to believe that you can achieve things differently in life. So let's have a great day together.
I'm just trying to figure out how you get that Southern accent.
Is it Southern accent?
He's got this
I'm not,
country sound.
guys, we're going to do this thing. We're going to be the biggest